Hello everybody. Again in action number 11. My name is Hedayat with my lovely friend in the community, Guillaume, Thomas, and Tats. Others were busy today because we started a little bit sooner. So, like always, you can find a bunch of links in the description. So, and in this session, we are going to review Kizuna Technical Deep Dive Part 3 to Kizuna application. Kizuna is a distributed peer-to-peer application, the messenger. So that powered by Holochain. So if you haven't watched the previous video, I totally recommend to watch a part 1 and part 2. So that's being said, and by the way, if you would like to participate in the meeting, the original meeting is longer than the recorded version. You need to fill out the application that you can find the link in description. So that's being said, that's if there is anything to start or something, please. Otherwise, we can go and review the project.
Nothing for me. Let's start. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sharing my my screen. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Yes, that's great. So last time, part 2, we reviewed generally each section or zone, and then we took a look at generally the username zone, contact zone, and did we review group zone? Yeah, I think yes. So, and we are going to start.
Did we? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. We will take a look.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So, but I really would like to start from a peer-to-peer because I think that there are a bunch of things happening here, and also in the forum we saw some question about signaling and etc. So, by the way, it is the document of a Kizuna hApp. It is public, so you can access it. I'm gonna share the link in the in description in the video. So, and then we are going to take a look at peer-to-peer messaging zone of a Kizuna that also you can go inside and take a look. So let's see. Okay, it's really long one. Okay, we will come back to this one. Let me go to the project. Let's see what's happening. So it is the main project. If you remember, guys, we were in the root lobby, and also you can see here. Yeah. So we had this work directory, hApp DNA, hApp bundle, DNA bundle. We go to the peer-to-peer, P2P zone. P2P zone is supposed to be inside the zones folder here. It is again, it is actually modularity. It means the P2P has its own module. I already cloned it. You need to go to this one. I already cloned in the same folder for myself, which is here. We are going to take a look at the peer-to-peer zone, which is this one. I already cloned it, this zone. So one zone, source, lib starter point. Like always, I take a look at first on the references to see is there any special thing I would like to see, and now nothing. It is a normal zone. Cargo, okay. Lib, inside the lib, entry definition is here. So we have a 3 main entry definition. Okay. So I'm gonna
Hidayat,
yes.
I think You could check the inner cargo toml, because yeah, that one.
Ah, there is a file type. I didn't check. So
Yeah,
we have
but that's
something. Go
uh-huh.
ahead. Go ahead if you have a complementary. It means there is a file types coming
Yeah.
from this one. I didn't see this one.
Yeah, so that's it's just a simple crate we have in the uh Kizuna repository as well. So if you actually open the Kizuna repository, you'd see there a folder called commons. So for file types, we're using the same file types both for group messaging and peer-to-peer messaging. That's why we kind of like just have it in one place. Although this makes it a bit, so there's a question of how to make it more modular because this is a dependency obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, but that's how we are doing it right now.
I
So
see.
mhm.
Mm-hmm. That is great. Thank you. Thank you for explanation. It's good. So, first of all, I really would like that to go find the skeleton by myself and then switch to you and go to you to have a more detail. It is the way that I try to read the skeleton of a project. It means there are three main entry definition. So you have, and as like always, we have a source, entries, and your entry. It means P2P messaging, offer, receiver, payload. It is the one, okay. And then, uh, so peer-to-peer, one entry type here, which is actually peer-to-peer, which is public or private. It is here, which is private. It means it is not on DHC actually. So peer-to-peer message receipt. So ID status, okay, and P2P bytecode. Can you give us a little bit, a few sentences for each of them, that why, what is the reason of having these three, and then we will switch to you totally, but to have overview of the project.
Yeah, sure, sure. So P2P message is the message entry that contains who wrote it, who wrote the message, and to whom it was sent. So the receiver, the payload could be a text, simple text or string, or it could be a file. So if it's a file, it could be an image, video, or any other file types you would like to, and the timestamp, yes. And then the reply to is, you know how in messaging applications you can reply to a message. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
this is in the previously I think we were calling this implicit link. So that's kind of what it is. Or well, no, never mind. That might not be appropriate. Anyway, yeah. And then message receipt, that is for the status of the message, right? So has this status. So if you check the status, that has sent, delivered, and
Got
read.
it.
Yeah. And then
Then
lastly, file bytes. Yes.
file bound.
So
So
this is,
it
yep.
is for the bot. Thank you. I got
Yep.
it. So let's see generally what remote signals. So it means we are going to cover remote signal. There is a public function for remote signal. For sure, we are going to hear more. Initialize init. Yeah, it is interesting. Init, it's being called when application is supposed to be installed. So, and then if we go here, it means in the message you have init handler. You do something, and at the end you passed. Let's go here. We have, okay, we have a different option, pass, and right now F12 is not working. I don't know why. So, but let's see, we can go here. We can go here to read the all parameter. Actually, we can say pass, fail, and unresolved dependency. It means, can you explain generally, just an overview, during the installation, this init is supposed to be called? What is happening here?
Okay. So in our init, exactly when the app is installed and when the agent, I think, is already validated to be in the network. Um, or I'm not sure at exactly which point it is called. Maybe Guillaume or you, Hidad, could shed some light on that. But basically, in this init, we are just passing. We're giving. So if you could check the handler, can you go to the? Yeah. So we're just granting functions to some functions we have, which is receive message and receive read receipt, and also receive remote signal. So just to explain it shortly, all HDK extern functions, all functions are private in nature, meaning it cannot be called by other agents unless you explicitly grant functions to them. And so here we are basically granting, so you see the create cap grant function there. That allows basically, and then the access is unrestricted, right? The access says unrestricted, which means anyone can call this function, which is the receive message function.
I see. Thank you. I generally, I'm gonna ask you to that you share your screen for a detail. I just want to know the general, the general. So it means in it, it's being called during the installation of a process, means initialization of a DNA. So if Guillaume, would you like to add something more, please?
Like there's a caveat, but it's important very rarely, which is it's not actually on init. It's the first time a zone call is called.
First time that zone call is called.
Yeah. There is like a hook logic, which is if you haven't called init yet, call it. And that's the conductor. So the conductor installs the DNA. The validation of the agent is passed with that, but that's a different callback. And then whenever you call the first function, then init will run because it hasn't run yet. I don't know if this is because of some unstable logic that they would have otherwise. It's a bit weird, but it normally doesn't affect anything.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, and then we have but generally about the init, it's being called one time, generally.
One time, and this is important because this is agent-centric, so people can confuse a bit. This is called by every agent that installs the application. This is not once per DNA. This is once per agent.
One per agent, yes. Yeah. So what happens if the result value is not passed? The agent cannot play with others?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly the behavior. Like, I don't think the cell is deactivated. The cell would be deactivated if the Genesis init check fails, and that's the callback that checks whether you're valid or not. This is much more to help set up things that you would need in the future, right? So I think if this fails, nothing will happen. Next time it will try to call it again. Basic gist is don't put security here. Like whether an agent is valid or not should not be here.
Okay, so what is the different behavior if it is passed or if it is not passed here? Because the options that we have, it is pass, fail, and unresolved dependency.
Sure.
So is there any consequences that if it is not passed, the data cannot propagate it or something like that?
So for sure, if it doesn't pass, the zone call that was going to be executed doesn't execute. If it's unresolved dependencies, it's going to try again when the dependencies arrive. If it's fail, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think the cell is deactivated. like, for example, there is another check, which is to validate the agent. If that check doesn't pass, the cell is deactivated. But this is a different callback, so that is what I'm not sure about.
So, but logically, if the init is returned, it doesn't return pass, it means the user cannot call any zone call, and there is no data, and there is no, it means the whole scenario is not going to be started at all.
Yeah, that's right. Because if, for example, if it's unresolved dependencies, next time you're going to call a zone function, you're going to try to do the init again before the zone functions, right? So you can assume that init has run before any zone functions. But like I just said, this could be overwritten by an attacker. So you shouldn't rely on this for security.
For security. Thank you. Thank you. That is great. So share my screen. So good. Let's see what's there and go and ask a read message. Obviously, it's reading message, receive message handler. Here we have. So we can go back here. So get latest messages, get next. Get message by agent by timestamp. So typing, interesting. If a user is typing, is double checking. So and signal. So the topic of signal is here. That's amazing. So and so yeah. Right now, I would like to ask Tats, how is signaling, how is typing and signaling is working? Just a few sentences and go back to you.
Okay. So when a user types in the front end, we call this function, the typing, which then emits a signal to the other agent that the typer is trying to send the message to. And then it sends the signal to that agent.
Okay, thank you. Let's go back and then you can explain more about the signal, how the things are working. So the people who are in the group or who are live or with whom it's signaling actually.
Yeah, only one person actually, because this is in peer-to-peer. Yeah.
Okay, for each open, okay. Receive reads, okay, get file by. Totally obvious. Generally, the things are doing. Let me also take a look at the here. Generally, Tats, I really like this way of it means the name of actually module. It is the whole job of this. I really like this the way that you order the project, and it's really good that we can easily read what's happening here. For example, in this module, we have a message, we have entries, message entry. So generally we can say what's happening in the first glance. So and
we used to have it in one handlers file, and oh my god, the code was so long that we were also getting confused. And actually it was Manuel from ICE who suggested that we should separate them because he was also getting really confused. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, and the name here on the file, it's a good standard. It's the good standard. So I really like that. Yeah, we review, we are gonna go back to this one. It is the message, it's here. It is the main container of this whole one. So yes, there are a bunch of things that you can explain us about the initial signaling, I think. And I really would like get file bytes, latest message by agent, by timestamp. Okay, each of them, it's obvious what's happening. So I see helper and init is here. Yes, initialization. Typing also is here, and that's it. So generally, I got the whole idea, but I really would like to ask you, Tats, to go and explain a little bit more detail about the P2P and so how the signaling is working. It was the question. How did you implement signal and a little bit more deep up to you.
So should I start with
Yes,
signals?
yes. No, go from the beginning. Any from the leaf generally because the
Oh,
project
okay.
started from the.
Sure. Let me just open the actual code. Yeah. Okay, great. So let me share my screen. So here is the code. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, yes.
All right. So let me just close it first, just to not confuse. Okay. So you can start from here. So I think the first thing I should tell is that right now in peer-to-peer message, we are not, as you saw in the entry definitions here, all of them are private entries actually. So this is private, the P2P message is private, the P2P file bytes is private, P2P message receipt is private. So the reason here is because there's not really any reason to share the message you sent to someone in the DHT, apart from if you want it to be asynchronous, meaning if okay, actually we can explore send message and I'll show you what I mean. So of course in peer-to-peer message, the first thing that we need is sending a message, right, to someone. So if you check the handler here, this is just we can skip this because this is just constructing the P2P message. But what is important is that we are using call remote, the HDK call remote function to send the message to the receiver, right? So if you see here, the agent is the message.receiver who is supposed to receive the call from you. That is why we need to grant capability for the caller of the send message to the receive message, right? In the init a while ago, sorry, I'm going to jump to init.
Yes, beautiful, yes.
We are granting, we are granting function to receive message here, right? Here. Because if we do not do this, then this will fail. This will fail, saying that it is unauthorized, right? This call remote returns zome call response, which can either succeed or it can have a network error or it can be unauthorized, right? But this is logically will not happen because at every init, every agent grants unrestricted access to this receive message function. So, but there is a caveat here, which is
what is the receive? Can we go to receive message?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
This is the receive message.
Yeah.
So
what's happening in the receive? Just imagine it is you and me. You're supposed to send me a message, okay? You're going to signal me. It means init function already, you install the application, I install the application. Both of us called or initialize, okay? I receive, the application grant capability for receive on my zone, on my DNA, you know, on my client. Yes, you do the same. What's happening? What's happening? Can you explain the code that?
Okay, so the step is it starts from here, right? Init is the first.
Yes.
And as you said, we both give each other capability to call the receive message function.
Yes.
Right? Which is getting called in the send message function. Of course, because when you send a message, you want the other person to receive it. So we instantiate the whole P2P message data here like this, and then we do a bunch of things, and then we finally call the receive message. And in the receive message function, we are simply storing the entry to the source chain of the agent who received the message, right? So here we are creating the entry with the input, which is, well, the input.0, if we check the, so it's the P2P message, right? So we are basically, I send you a message. The first thing I do is I call your receive message function, and then you receive it, right? And then you store it in your source chain.
So how you
And
are?
then, and then I also store it in my source chain. This if this is okay, which means you have received my call remote successfully, then I can also store the message that I have sent to you into my source chain, right? So we both store the same message into the source chain. So there's nothing in the DHT that gets saved as an entry. There are headers, but not entries. And then that's it. That's how we kind of like synchronously have the same message history on both our source chains.
Why we do not grant this capability for other functions in the lib? Why we just do it on a receive message?
Why only on receive message? I see.
Yes.
So it's because these are the functions that an agent needs to call into another agent, right? The receive message, the receive. If you
It means
see, everything is received.
It means your computer. You are going. It means you are going to call a function on my agent computer.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's why I need to create a grant, or actually the capability token, that hey, this function is open. This is a function which is in application installed on my agent. Let's go back. Let's go back and
okay.
Sorry, I just stopped recording by mistake. I really would like to. Can you come back to the old meeting? Stop sharing, I mean.
Stop sharing. Okay, great.
Yes. I really would like to, anybody can help, because this capability is confusing and you implemented the best example and we need to have a tick and go. Generally, on an agent, the application in a lib, we have a bunch of different functions that I can call it. Because it is my application, that it is my function, I can easily call it. There is no need for a capability token, because it is mine, it is installed on my conductor. But if I'm going to call one function on TATS as a remote, as another agent, TATS supposed to give me that grant. It means I'm opening, it is a gateway that Hidayat can send me a message and call this function on behalf of me. And then specifically for those Zoom function, we need to grant the capability token. Is that true? My imaginary, is that true? Means I explained true, or you would like to correct or add? Or DM you?
Well, I think, yeah. One question I also have is when in that example you are calling into my cell, right? Question is, I'm not sure if you are writing into my source chain or I'm writing into my source chain. So a while ago, there was a create entry function in the receive message, right? So that's one thing I'm not sure of. But yeah, so the reason why we are not granting, of course, unrestricted capabilities to all the functions we have is because we don't want people to be calling send message of someone else's cell, right? That would be very weird. Like you can basically impersonate someone and send message to anybody you want. That we don't want that. So we are only giving access to those functions that should be given access to. And we can even actually make it a more granular capability granting way of, like, you only give grants to the agents that you actually trust. Now, the definition of trust is, we can play with that in the future, but yeah, so that's just from my end.
Guillaume, is there anything else would you like to add?
I think you've both given a very good summary. To your question, that's the agent that calls the call remote is not the one that is writing the source chain. The one that is writing the source chain is always the cell, the agent of the cell. You can store who called the function, but that's a different thing. And this is also because actually the cell that has been called doesn't have the private key of the caller. So it can't sign the entry or the header, right? It should go and do weird thing, and no, like it stays and signs itself. Yeah.
I have one question, Tat. I would like to share my screen now and then go back to you, okay? Because the question that if on a capability, again, what happened? We are still on the topic of a capability and remote signal, okay? In the initialization part, here we are telling for the received message that Tat explained, give the unrestricted. It means anybody can call this one if they would like. So let me see other option. And exactly that, can you confirm? It is this line that you open this function from outside the world to be called. Yes? That I cannot hear.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
muted. Yes.
So if for any reason, it is just my small question. Let me see. This is the URL. I can share this URL in description. It is your reference actually anytime. So restricted, assigning, generally brief explanation overview that it can be open to everybody. It can be transferable. It means somebody can receive it and also be able to transfer to others. And also it is assigned to the assigned actually to the specific agent. But since it's supposed to be open to everybody, it is unrestricted. So, and that's why, because it's supposed to be open to all other agents, we open for here. Yeah, we didn't limit for a specific agent. For the future, I think this pattern I really would like to use exactly here in the in actually for implementing subscription. I need to implement capability token, but I need to grant this access to a specific agent. Okay, we will review it later. That's it. Thank you. I got my answer, please.
Okay, so I will continue.
Sure.
And so where were we a while ago? Okay, wait, sorry. Yeah, so actually that's pretty much it for the send message. Oh no, wait, actually there's one thing I want to mention here. This only works synchronously. Synchronous meaning both agents have to be, well, both agents conductor have to be online, right? Running for the the call remote to work. If the receiver of the call is offline, or well, if the conductor of the receiver is not running, then we will get a network error. The thing is, in the future, there will be a way for us to be able to kind of tell other agents to store the message that is being sent through this API, while the original receiver is not available. So that is something that we still need to work on in the future. So that's just one thing. And actually, I think that's pretty much it. Yes. So there's that. And then I guess I also already explained receive message here. Oh, and in receive message, we are emitting a signal here, which is we are telling. So after we store the entry, we are telling the Wait, let's check who we are telling this to.
To the UI, right?
Oh, right. I'm sorry. To the UI. I was looking for who it was being sent to, but this is not remote. Exactly. So to the UI. So we are just telling UI that there is a message that was received. So this is for instant feedback of the message. Actually, it might be better if we emit the signal before we even do all of this thing for more performance. Yeah. Actually, I just realized that. But anyway, so that's for receive message.
Thank you.
And
Tats, can we come back?
yeah.
I have a question from. Can we come back to the group? So
Where do you want me to go? Sorry.
stop the sharing.
Oh, stop the sharing. I see. Okay, there you go.
Guillaume, can you give us a package of what is signaling when we use signal?
Sure. Okay. First of all, to clear confusion, there are two types of signal. Okay. A signal generally is something that you emit, but you don't get an answer. Okay. You throw it out and you continue doing what you're doing. Okay.
Fire and forget.
Fire and forget. Yes. The two cases are when I want to send a message to that's remote signal, right? From a cell to another cell, from an agent to another agent. That's remote signal. The other is normal signal. That's Emit-Signal, which is from cell to UI. So from backend to frontend, right? We are in WebSockets, so the server in our case, which is the conductor, the cell, can easily send a message to the UI, and the UI has a callback that can update it, right? So those are the two types of signal. And in a message, like you can concatenate both. I can send a remote signal to that, and that's conductor can send a normal UI signal to the UI, right? So that's fastest way that you have in Holochain of connecting to UIs, basically.
The first one was fire and forget. Both of them were fire and forget. And what about the actually sync signal? Do we have any sync signal?
What do you mean sync signal?
Because you mentioned we have two different signals. One of them without any waiting, actually, just fire and forget.
No. Okay, so the two types are remote and UI, and the two are fire and forget.
Both are fire and forget.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have any synchronization signal. It means I'm calling, waiting to receive an answer.
Yeah, exactly. In the case of agent to agent, that's called remote. That's what call remote does. Like it calls your function and then it waits for the result, and that can be expensive. In the case of UI, we don't have anything like that. If you emit a signal and you want to hear back, you have to call a function, a normal function.
Remote signal, exactly, we talked about that you need to create a capability token. It means remote signal, it's calling another agent zone function that it should be open.
Yeah, so there is one special, like, the normal thing is to do call remote, right? And call remote, you specify this is the function name, and you have to have a capability grant for that function name, right? Remote signal has a special function name that's a reserved function, which is the receive remote signal. I don't know exactly, whatever. You still have to create the capability token, but that's what will be automatically called when you do remote signal.
The capability is automatically granted?
No, you have to grant it as well.
We have to grant it. So, and the UI, it is just only the local UI, it's my UI, it's not coming to outside.
Well, so, in the case of Holo, which is what Kizuna are doing, it's not really local, but it's the UI, right? So it's from Holoport to browser.
And Tats, it is my question. So it means for a read and typing, you're supposed to see Hidayah typing, yeah?
Yes.
It means when WhatsApp, can you explain this flow with the remote signal that I understand how your read
Sure.
pass through to me?
So I type,
Yes.
and then I call a function, typing,
Okay.
which then calls remote signal to
Okay.
you.
Okay, to my zone function.
Yes.
Okay.
Fire and forget, you receive it,
Okay.
hopefully, and then you
Okay.
do.
Okay.
And then you do emit signal
Emit-Signal. Beautiful.
to your UI.
To my
Yes.
UI. Okay. It means you implemented the both combination of a remote signal and Emit-Signal to the one functionality as typing. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I could actually show that in the code if
Please.
that would help. Yeah. So oops. So this is the function that I think Guillaume was talking about a while ago, which is the receive _ remote signal. And we are giving unrestricted access to this function as well, because it is required actually. If we go to the documentation of I think remote signal. Yeah. So it says here that this requires the function receive remote signal be exposed like this. And then, of course, it also needs to be given unrestricted capability. Like here, this function will also need to be added to your init as an unrestricted cap grant. So that is what we are doing here. We give them unrestricted cap grant, and we are exposing this function to the world, basically. And so yeah, there's that. So there's typing, right? A while ago I was saying I call typing here. Sorry, let's go here. So typing, I call typing, I type, and then this typing handler, if we check, has remote signal, right? Then this remote signal gets received by the receive remote signal to you in your conductor, Hidayat, and then it emits the signal to the UI.
That is beautiful. Thank you.
So that is how
you have a great demo of the capability here, Emit-Signal. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, should I stop sharing or
No. Please review if there is anything else about this generally. If any nice pattern that you think it's worth to review in this one, please.
Okay. Maybe one thing I would like to explain is maybe this is interesting. So get next. So we have 3 getters, right? We have get latest messages. We have get messages by timestamp, by agent, and then we have get next batch. So this get next batch messages is for lazy loading.
Please. Yes. And if you would like to explain the design of lazy loading, I really would like to hear. Would you like to explain how a skeleton of the lazy loading is working and then go to the pattern? I really appreciate this way.
Yeah, sure. So the lazy loading that we are talking about is basically for the use case of Holo, right? Because if a person is fetching, if an agent is fetching the message from Holoport, then we don't want to fetch all the messages of all the person that agent is talking to in one call, because that would be expensive. So what we are trying to do is to be able to just fetch, first of all, just fetch the first, let's say, maybe 20, 30, 40 messages with this get latest messages. And then the the user would literally scroll, right? And if you imagine this is the chat page, you would scroll. Once you hit the oldest message, then it would get the next 20 messages. And then the user would scroll again and then hit the oldest message, then get the next 20, and then the next 20, then the next 20, until it fetches the oldest message for that particular conversation.
That is great. As we already discussed earlier, it is a time indexing. It means you are receiving all messages which published 20 minutes ago or 40 minutes ago. That is great.
So this is, I think, would be more interesting in the group zone later, if we have time to explain that, because that would be lazy loading in DHT. This is just lazy loading with source chain. So if you look at so this is the input to the get next batch messages. You see here, there's the field called last fetched timestamp and last fetched message ID.
Okay.
So if you pass a value here, then the function here would check. So it would make a query. It would make a query like this. So this is a source chain query, right? And then in the queried message, it will try to filter the message like this. So you check, you basically check if the message has been already, is it greater than the time, the filter, the last fetch timestamp, or is it less than the last fetch timestamp, right? And if it's older, then we get it. If it's newer, we ignore it, something like that. And this is basically just, you know, text or media. Yeah, so this is not really that much important. But anyway, that's pretty much it actually for source chain. For P2P messaging, because we are just literally getting the message from the agent's own source chain, right? There's nothing much, there's no network call in here. Yeah, so I think that's one important thing to mention. Anyway, that's yeah.
That's great. I have one question here, Tas. Is there any lazy loading against DHT also? It is in a group, or all
Yes.
of them are? So
In a group.
right, that's great. So to make it more clear, this lazy loading, it's against source chain. It means the data that is local on my machine. So the next one that we are going to take a look, it is the lazy loading against DHT. It means the data that is in the DHT. That is great.
So yeah, one thing I think I would say that is that it doesn't make really much sense to do this if you are running your Holochain node locally, because you wouldn't need to do lazy loading if your source chain is in your computer as well, right? Like you can just literally get everything and then filter it out in the UI. But if you are a hosted agent, then your source chain, I mean, in a holo setting, your source chain lives in a holo port. So then it makes sense to do lazy loading, even if your messages are only stored in the source chain. Yeah.
But all in all, I think it is useful to use somehow, because however it is the local data, but showing a local data in browser, if it is a long data, it is a lot of resources. It means generally
right.
That is great that you implemented against the source chain. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just a comment here, like we have to be mindful of what is executing locally and what is executing on the network, and what are the trade-offs and what we want to optimize. What I want to make clear with this is that querying a full source chain with hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of entries is less than 2 milliseconds, something like that. Like, it's reading from a database. Imagine you're a server and you're doing a SQL query. That's what's happening, really. Reading from a DHT, like just one get can be 100 milliseconds perfectly with the network. Like, you don't know what the network conditions are like. So it's tens, hundreds times more expensive for sure. So it's not so important to optimize source chain. It's essential to optimize DHT. If you don't optimize DHT queries, you won't be able to scale your application.
So the good lesson here that if you are going to implement any application that you're going to need lazy loading or reading a lot of data, optimization or a good design should start from the beginning. From the design and architect, think about the load and DHT and this parameter. That's really important. That's clear. Thank you. So anything else or?
Oh, Thomas has a question. So in the chat. So it makes sense that apps store as much as possible on their local chain? Question mark.
As much as possible. I think it is not a good phrase. It is better to say if it is proper, if it is not, the data is not related to others, just do it. Yes, why not? It is the data. And for sure, the DHT topic is the data is related to others. If it is not, for sure, it is the data is belong to you. So it is my take, at least. But about the performance, the answer is yes. About the security, the answer is yes. About the privacy, the answer is yes. And but if there is something that it is the group meaning, group busyness or something, it should go DHT. This is my understanding. Others also. So I would like to, so, okay, till that's getting a glass of water, I would like to, can you see my screen, guys? Yeah?
Yep.
My code, yes? So, yeah, here we already finished peer-to-peer. That's great, Tats. Personally, I learned a lot from a peer-to-peer. I think anybody else would like to see some good pattern and example. Peer-to-peer, P2P message here is the best example. So let's go here that what's happening.
Oh, and also last thing, sorry.
Please,
if anyone would like to use it in their project, that's also possible. You can just check the repository on how you could integrate your zome into your project, and you would have peer-to-peer message functions available for you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And anybody you are going to use it, so and you have a question in the forum, don't forget to ask a question. Tats is gonna answer.
Sure.
I promise Tats is gonna answer.
Sure. I will.
Thank you, Tats. You are so lovely. Thank you. So, okay. So, right now, let's go to the group zone. It seems we have something beautiful here that I even didn't know. Let's see what's a group in the document. That can I find something? So, group here, group message. So,
oh yeah, that I think the unencrypted one, that's what we are using right now. So that may be better.
okay, do it. This one, yeah. Okay, that's great. So if you want to use it, please do it in it is when you're sharing. I just want to drag here to see if there is anything that, okay, the flow are here, and it is a good example. I on purpose I'm showing that. Please design a good and architect a good application before starting, because in the DHT distributed, bad design is going to be really big hassle, and refactoring the code is expensive also. So wow, thank you, Tats. That is great. So let me go to the group. So in the group, I would like group cargo tamil. Let me close others. Common file, it is here. There's a common file type. When it is in here, it means it is in a local actually. So we will come back to this one if we have time, but it seems it's not a big topic. Tats, is there anything would you like to add here? Because you mentioned at the beginning, I see.
Not really. This is just a type for files. If people are interested, we can go into that, but it's just really types for. I think it's self-explanatory if people look at the code.
That's
yeah.
cool. So in the lib entry definition is group path. For sure. When it is path, so it means you are using the anchor pattern and for sure the link path. And please explain us how to use path. More example about anchor pattern and all other topic around it. It means anchor pattern, which is connected to link and path, would really appreciate it. Again, we have init here for sure. It is beautiful. Grant access here. So, and thank you, Tats, that you are going to explain. Remote signal, the same here. So, oh, validations. That is amazing. You are also implementing validation. We haven't talked about the validation rule. So, and Tats is going to explain, and we will see what is validation. Create group, add members. You are adding some members to the group. I imagine this is the zone for creating a group for sending message between a group of people. So update group name, get all my group. Yes, get a latest version. Let's ask task to explain more. Send message to the group. So it means here, oh, group message is here. It is all about the group. It means adding, creating, blah, blah, and it is about messaging the group. Thank you. Wow, I love this. I love this modularity you implemented. It's really easy and sweet to read the code in this way. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So get batch group, on group, get 5 bytes, read group, that's it. And here, group message and validation rule. And I would like to ask Tats, please put a validation rule at the end. And it means the last priority, because I think validation rule we also didn't talk. And then if there is other, I'm gonna stop sharing. If there is any other pattern, would you like to review, please?
No, I think you've covered it really well. We can go into details of those, whichever might be interesting. Yeah.
Can you also explaining a little bit about DHT, the lazy loading against DHT?
Yeah, sure. So I actually, if you go to the architecture document,
would you please share your?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So this is the so you can go to this document from here, the group CRUD. So if you open this, so there is an entry relationship diagram. So the lazy loading happens. Oh wait, we can't do that. Okay, here. So you see, this is a path, right? This whole thing is a path, and this is the lazy load. This is the messages. So we do lazy loading in this section of the DHT.
That is really complex for anybody to just take a look. So do not expect others to understand this really complex diagram, actually.
Wait, okay, let me close my sharing. How do I explain this?
Wait, I think, wait. because there is just one section in the gym which is that, but simplified.
Awesome, awesome.
So,
Yes.
wait, where is it? Is this it? Oh, wait, I think I removed it. No, I did not remove it. Yoo-hoo! Okay, sorry.
Let's go.
So, yeah, for example, let's say that I'm going to create hello as an entry. Okay, and these are the paths that are created. Okay, let me arrange it that you can start explaining. This is the pattern, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So I just created another one for us to see how it evolves.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is actually, wow, great tool. Great tool. Ted, do you want me to explain, or Guillaume, you want to go?
No, go.
Yeah, so this is basically what we are doing in group as well. Like, so you see there's all posts, right? So we create a path that is all posts. So I'm gonna talk in the context of this example. Not to forget about group first. Let's talk about this. So you have all posts, and then from all posts, you create another path, which is the path one, right? Which is all posts 2021 June 22, which is today. So for every day, we create a path for that day, right? So this is kind of like a time indexing. Is that right? It's called, yeah. It's like a time indexing kind of way to branch out entries, and we need to do this because we need to avoid DHT hotspots, which maybe we can talk about more in the later part of the video. But so here you do that today, and then 17. I think this is the time, the hour.
Yeah, it should be hour.
Yes. So for today, 5 p.m., there's a post called hello and hello D. So imagine this in a group, right? So the all posts will be the group ID. And then for that particular group ID, there would be messages sent on days, like, random days, right? Could be today, could be tomorrow, or some other time in the future. And then for that time, for that day, you would have messages linked. So this is how we also do lazy loading, because it's very easy to later on fetch messages. For example, I would like to get the last 20 messages. Then we say, okay, for this particular group, there are 5 messages. There are 5 messages for today, and then there are 15 messages yesterday. So we get those and then return it to the UI. So that's for lazy loading, but it's also this pattern can also be used for fetching messages by timestamp, right? You would like to get the messages for June 22, or any other day, then it's so easy to do that. Like, we just have to reconstruct the path. We will show that in the code later, but we can reconstruct the path and then fetch the messages that is linked on the end of the this kind of like a tree of links, right? The hello and the hello D in this example. So I hope I didn't overcomplicate it.
That is amazing. Thank you. Also, we had a totally full explanation of path and links in the previous video, and the people can also refer to that. But if you can show us this game, is there anything else you would like to say or show? If you can show the place that you did in the code, it would be really brilliant.
Awesome. Definitely. Okay, let me just actually close this. Yes, you need to close this. Okay, so let's open this. Give me a moment. Sorry. Wait, I am running out of battery. Okay, wait, let me just stop sharing for a while. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Whoops. Okay, so here's the lib.js of group, and exactly where the lazy loading is happening is in this function called get next batch group message. Again, so we can first check the input, which is the filter. So just like how it was in the P2P message, we also have the last fetched and the last message timestamp fields. And so this is an entry hash. The last fetch is an entry hash of the oldest message that was fetched in the last lazy load, as well as the timestamp of that particular message that was the oldest in the last lazy load. So why do we need this? I'll show you in this. So bear with me on the length of the code. But anyway, so imagine we've already sent, 10 messages today, right? And then 10 messages yesterday, and then 10 messages again the other day, right? So there are 30 messages. And let's just say that, also one thing that is important, we have batch size. What is batch size? Basically, this is where we say, okay, I want 20 messages to be fetched, or I want 100 messages, or I want 50 messages. This is where we set it, right? And the payload type is just, do you want text only, or do you want text, or do you want file, do you want media, or do you want all of it, right? So I'll show you how it's used again also. But anyway, so that's the wait. So that is the input to the function, and of course the group ID. We need that. So what do we do? First, let me go to the function again here. So yeah, so here we are just constructing the things that is needed to be outputted into the function. But what is important is, yeah, so we check, here, you see this function, right? The path from string. So this is getting generated from the message timestamp, the last message timestamp that is from the input. So the path here, basically, this basically just generates the path that is, actually it's better for me to show okay, I'm just going to go to the architecture to show what the actual path is. Or actually, a while ago you saw in Guillaume's example, in the gym, right? There's just all posts and then all posts dot time, right? It was structured like that. So this is the same. Right now what we're doing is group ID, then we join it with a dot. So group ID dot the days, right? We are converting the timestamp because this is in I think millisecond, or yeah, I forgot, nanosecond, millisecond. So we convert it to days, for example, June 22 or June 23. So this path will be group ID dot date, okay? And then we get that path hash and get links from that path. So I'll jump into another helper function. So bear with me. This is going to jump into places. But what is important is that, so here's a path hash. We are doing a lot of get links here, right? So we are basically getting links from the path that we have constructed. So here in the architecture, you could see that, so this is the group ID, right? So this is group ID dot the timestamp. So if you get links from this path, you get the messages for that particular day. Does that make sense? I hope it.
Yes, totally. Yes, totally.
I hope my message is clear.
No, that is great. So I just can you come back to me? I can just show something that make everything clear. So here, if everybody remember about it is the slide of actually, can you see the screen? Yeah. It is the slide that we showed and talked about the anchor and link and path. Generally, it was the data. It means anytime that tats create a message for a group, it's supposed to connect it to somewhere. Generally, the anchor pattern means the things we are going to. It is a link. It is content, link, and anchor. Generally, anchor pattern, and then we have a path. I told you I'm going to explain about the path later on. It is the best time that we can talk about path. Path, as already explained, it is something that you can split up with dot that tats did. It means if you right now send a message, you can say this message is about 2021, 5 months, and 23, the date 23rd, and maybe what is the hour 17, and also at the beginning for the group 2. That's it. It means the thing that's trying to explain you, it was this one. It means automatically generate the fix. If you didn't see this video, please go and watch the anchor pattern, how the things is coming. It's kind of fishing. Just imagine we want to hunt this fish in the DHT. It is DHT. Can you see this DHT? So how can I fetch them, the data on a distributed version of the data source or a database? So I need to connect it to something that I can regenerate it and say, hey, give me data that connected to these things for the fishing. And the fish, when you get the fish are gonna come. That's it. So time stamping, it means lazy loading based on the time. It means we can regenerate the time, this fixed string, and then also because of this dot core, holochain core, create a sub or nested actually anchor for you subconsciously. It means you don't need to do that. It means we can create this one, and Holochain can create 2.2020, another one 2.2020.5, another one. It means you saw in the photo. I'm going to explain also illustrate it. It means there is another one here. There is another one here. That's it. It is all about the lazy loading with the path and etc. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Hidayat. That made it way more clear. So I think it might have been better. It might have been better if I showed the send message first and show how the message is being created. So from the send message function in the lib.rs, we can just go to the send message handler. So this is just a simple way of publishing an entry to the DHT, right? So here we construct the group message. So, and then we create entry, right? We create the entry of the group message, and then we construct the path. This is what Hidayat was just explaining, is that we are trying to, so we have the group hash and the days, the timestamp, and then we create a path. So this helper function that we have, we can go. So look, here we are constructing the path from string, separated with the dot, right? And then you can go deeper into the Holochain HTK if you would really like to see how path works. This is just it. If you do path.ensure, it creates the entry separately of those separated with the dot, and then they get linked with the create link. So I'm not going to go too deep here.
Please.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, generally, that's it. It is beautiful.
That's
You
it.
show
That's
that
it.
how the flow is working. That is great. That is great. It means in a create message, you're creating this anchor with a dot version, and in a search or a lazy loading, you are reading this anchor from. That is
exactly.
It. That is
exactly.
great.
Yeah, that is it. Actually, that is it. Yeah.
That is it.
So that's what we are doing in the send message. Like we are just creating link really from the path, right? Or and then to the message, And then later in the lazy loading, we get links to get those messages.
That's
And
great.
that's just it, actually. Yeah. So
That's
yes.
if this zone is finished, if there is anything else remain in other zone, please, because we are more than 1 hour, maybe 1 hour 15 minutes. Please go ahead yourself. From my chart that I see, actually, maybe the aggregator zone or a preferences if there is something special.
Preference, not much. I don't think that is really important. Yeah, I think well, for group, there are more examples of remote signal and then emit signal kind of pattern that we saw in P2P. So if you would like to see how that works, you could check this function. I think I'm not going to go into details anymore here, but I'm just letting everyone know that you can check the indicate group typing function, how it works, because this is also the same remote signal, emit signal, and whatnot. We've already explained that. So that's it for group. For aggregator, just a short explanation, maybe, which is, so this is for holo use case, kind of like we are doing this design pattern for holo, not really for holochain, local holochain nodes. So this is basically just getting the late. So if you see, it's a bunch of call function, which is so this HDK call is basically a zome call into another zome call into another zome. So in Holochain, there's the modularity of zomes. So we need to get the latest data of the particular agent for all zomes, right? For group, we need the latest. Let's start with contacts. Contacts, we need the list of contacts. For P2P message, we need the latest P2P messages. For groups, we need the latest groups and the latest group messages. So that's just it. This function, this zome actually aggregates the latest data from all the zomes that we have in Kizuna and then returns it to the UI so that in one call, you can get all the necessary data you need to load the application. This is to avoid making multiple network calls just to get the latest kind of like quote unquote state of your application, something like that. I hope that makes sense.
A question that it is not running on Holo right now. How do you use this code while the Holo cannot host it right now? Why do you?
Oh no, so this is the this is the only function that this zome has. Retrieve latest data. And that's it actually. Even in this is just a simple holochain function. So even in so imagine if we don't have this, actually. Imagine if we don't have this, then we need to make, you see these list blocked, right? These are function names, as you can see. List block from contact zone, list added from contact zone, get all my groups from group zones. We need to make these, these call from UI.
How often do you need to call this one from UI?
Well, right now we are calling this when the app starts. Yeah, so this is like an init on the UI side.
Kind of bootstrapper, yes. It means you are bootstrapping your UI with the proper data, the group user.
Exactly.
And you need to constantly call this one to refresh data, or once is enough?
Well, we don't have any caching yet on the UI. So if you hit refresh on the browser, this will get called again.
That's
yeah. But then to receive messages on, for example, group or P2P, you don't need to make this call because we are using signals to, send immediate feedback to the UI when a message is sent or received. Yeah. So I think that's all on
great. Yeah.
Kizuna.
Yeah, we review
deep
everything.
dive. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me stop my sharing. Yeah.
Actually, we are really more than the normal time. If there is no question, we can at least finish the video right now. And if there are any question, guys, Kim, Tom, Malumbo. I have one. Tats, during this 3 video, you never talk about the place that the people can connect you, the team, the group.
Mm.
If you have something, please share right now and talk about it, how they can contact you, because for sure you are going to improve the project. For sure you need some support, help. Please tell people that how they can connect you.
Oh,
Communicate.
yeah.
Tats,
Yes.
before you continue, I wanted to add on to Heda's question because I had that one. On the on your GitHub repo, which branch should people sort of stick to?
Right. Right. Thank you for that question, Malumbo. So we've updated the develop branch right now, so which is the default branch. So yeah, people can play with the default branch. Apologies if it was a bit messy. I've sorted it out, so you can just clone it, and then that's it. It works.
Great.
The develop branch works. Yeah. Yeah, I will update the README when I get the time to do so, because there is literally nothing there. It just says we are building this messaging app. So that will be followed. Anyway, so to Hidayat question, I mean, people can connect to me in forum, Holochain forum, of course. My handle is, I think, tats_sato. So yeah, I'm just lurking around in the forum. And if you would like to know more about the project, everyone can check the Kizuna.foundation URL. There is also a feedback page there where people could send feedbacks to us. And also, if you would like to get updates, please sign up to our newsletter from that webpage. And then also, if you could join our Kizuna community and Telegram, that would be very awesome. You can ask any questions you want there. We're generally available, Akira and I. So Akira is the community manager for Kizuna and marketing manager. So we're there always happy to answer any questions you have. We're also doing monthly AMA. So I think the next one we're gonna have in July 1. So any questions you have, you can raise it in the Kizuna Telegram community as well. So that's all. Thank you for having me.
Really? Okay, Kian, please.
No, I just have a comment reflecting on all the process that we've just seen. Everything that you have up until now, that's is probably like the most mature thing that there is in Holochain, besides Acorn, and I would say they are like quite there. So you have really something right now that works, that is quite complete already, and that people should really be looking at if they want to learn, because it's a great resource to have. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Guillaume. Thank you for all the help too. Thank you.
Thank you, Guillaume. Beautiful comment. That is true. It's a rich project, and that's why we took a lot of time actually. So, and it's supposed to be. And I think again we are going to come back to it tasks, because I'm sure you are going to do some refactor. So some modules are going to be improved, and you're going to improve the project step by step while Holochain is growing more and more. And for sure, you are going to promise us that you are going to come back and tell us what's happening. You are
For
so
sure.
lovely, Tats. And like always, we love you. Thank you for sharing. And the best wish for the future of the project Kizuna. So for the visitors, you in the description, I'm gonna share more, and I'm gonna put also Kizuna Foundation, and if you would like to contact them. So for the recording, it's really large, sorry. So see you next week. Bye-bye, and we love you. Take care of yourself.